Hello, hello, hello. This is Carla Michelle, and I just want to thank you for tuning into the Strong Woman's Network podcast. Yes, once again, we are here and we are doing some great things that have to do with being strong, strategic, talented, resilient, optimistic, necessary, and with all that, go global. If not the world, then your world. And that's where you can make a difference. I have a great guest here today, Dr. Zerri Gross. And I'm going to just say a little something about her before we just welcome her aboard and have her just kind of do her own little intro. But she holds a doctorate of education. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist. She holds a doctorate of education in counseling psychology, working predominantly with adolescents, healers, therapists, and other industry professionals utilizing the power of yoga, which I've experienced, the goddess workshops, Reiki healing, whole life coaching, and other evidence-based practices to serve others as they embark on the journey of embracing their greatest self in order to ultimately experience the greatest life or their greatest life. Hello, Dr. Z. How are you?
Hi, Carla. I am great.
Yes, it's so good to have you here. Why don't you? I know I pretty much feel like I covered a lot, but I know you have more for people. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, you definitely covered the bases. I can say, just to add on some of those degrees, I mean, there are a few more certifications that I definitely have, but the bigger picture would be way that there's a way to help people. It definitely moves my heart to learn more about it, so it can be in my toolbox, whether it's through psychotherapy, whole life coaching, or even just in a yoga class. That my heart yearns for helping people.
Yes, and like I said, it kind of put in there. You were so great to come out when I had the Red TED experience with Bold. What did I call Bare and Beautiful, and Bare and Beautiful, and you came out and led the ladies through the yoga time, and the feedback was great, and just how I know, man, I discovered how much more I need to have some yoga in my life. My hips were a bit tight, but I loved what you taught us, and I loved your patience and this, all the stuff we did with the colors and different things in our lives. It was just such a great time. And so if anyone, I know everyone who's listening, really, we're going to, in the show notes as well as when we stay tuned, you'll hear how to get in contact with Dr. Z and all that she has to offer. I even got some waist beads, from her. So she's no lie when she says she has some tools in her toolbox. So
Well, I thank you for even allowing me the opportunity to come and bring those gifts and share that time with the people that you care about and help, and them trusting you to give me an opportunity to even be a part of it. So I thank you for that privilege to be a part of something that you created. That was a beautiful experience for women to really just have that opportunity to be strong and also be humble in a safe space.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was wonderful. I can't wait to do it again. I can't wait till the world opens and have you back there. we can have a good old time. So today we're talking about quick tips to a greater mind. So
yes.
Hey, the floor is yours. Tell us something.
So I would say that it's pretty cool that this topic came up, in the sense that I do a greater mind challenge. So it was like, ta-da, an opportunity to share with some more people how that process actually works and what's going on with it. In that, and it's free, like it costs people nothing. And these tips, while they may not cost anything, it still will be very useful to just start implementing. So I look at 5 different components, and they all start from just the realm of like, how can I master my mind? That being the first major one. So mastering your mind. There's so much that goes into being able to do that. One, just being aware that your mind is that powerful tool that can create and manifest anything and everything. So everything that you're experiencing, at some point you've had this concept in your mind and have maybe brought it to light. Not the way you might have thought, but you definitely had some input into it. All the more reason why I look at where people are at so far as mindfulness, meditation, their relationship with money, um, and being able to use different tools to get them into a space to be mindful so that they can alleviate stress, because that seems to be a big component that will make it really hard for that powerful tool called your brain to actually do its job when it's feeling the stress, whether it's physically, emotionally, or just the fact that you're thinking so much. Those things play a huge role. So I like to start with just people being aware of, and now I say, well, what's the number one thing where if you could just make a difference? Believe it or not, I feel that it is with money, and it comes to the relationship that you have with money. You're thinking probably, how does that have to do with my mind? Well, the way you think of money shows how much you care about yourself, what's important to you, where you spend your time. If you look at somebody's checking account, you can learn everything you need to know about them. You may not know the fine details, but it will give you a really good indicator on what they care about and how they think about money. What that means, I know it's like, what? What do you mean by that?
Good
so
point.
You would think your intimate relationship with yourself would be like, oh, it's my inner talk. Your most intimate and precious and probably crucial one that can impact your mind most is with your money. The way you think and believe about money shows up in how you show up. So when you're stuck, for instance, in a poverty space, and you have poverty mentality, which I'm sure has been probably talked about before, you can see that. You can see that in your relationship with money. You can see that in how you go about engaging other people in the world, maybe acquiring jobs or pursuing careers, and being aware that money does impact you and starting to get super clear on what that looks like, how and why, and where those beliefs came from, so that you can start to master your mind by looking at what things still serve me so I can do more of that, what things are not serving me in my relationship with money so I can replace it with supportive things or just remove them completely. You think, oh, that sounds pretty easy. Well, if it was that easy, everyone would do it.
True. Right.
Like, I wouldn't need to share it if it was that easy. It wouldn't have needed to be shared with me in different ways from the different people that I've worked with to even get to this point. But what it required was for me to be able to calm myself enough. And this is what I share with a lot of my clients, being able to calm yourself enough and take the opportunity to start looking into things like meditation and mindfulness, which are not the same, but can kind of go together most often. Mastering your mind requires you to be aware of what's happening in your mind. If it's hard to just sit silently with yourself, for starters, that's why I say look at your checkbook. Look at where your money is going. These are the things that you've stated are important to you. If you want to have a better relationship here.
I just because I mean, really, right? Some people's like food, right?
Right.
Eating out.
Food, eating out, maybe buying new stuff. But if you go past what you see on there, it's telling you what you care about. And there's reasons why you care about those things. Those reasons aren't always supportive to what you say you want to do because they're not lining up, because you're not at a space yet where you can mindfully make choices about your money, and you might not have given yourself the opportunity to meditate. And I think sometimes meditation and prayer, depending on who you're talking to, giving yourself that moment to be silent, hear your thoughts, see which ones stick out and stand out, and then choose to continue to focus on those ones that are supported to you, so that when you look at your bank account, it makes sense instead of, I should say it makes dollars instead of a bunch of
exactly
the more knowledge you have,
yeah,
the easier it is to carve out time to sit in silence with yourself, to look at how you can mindfully go about crafting your day that supports a relationship that you really want to have with yourself. And you can show that through how you may pursue getting money, how you spend it, and then what you invest in. If you're investing in you, that also requires your time. This is where that meditation component kind of comes back when you can sit quietly with yourself. Yeah. And it doesn't mean you have to be physically still. There's moving meditations. You can do yoga. You can lift weights. You can go on a run or bike. That can still be a meditative time for you if you require physical activity to be able to calm your thoughts. Mm-hmm. Doing those things that you know are supportive, when you stop doing them, you may not notice immediately, but if you go back again to your checkbook, you'll be like, how did I have all that time to do all these things that I said I didn't want to do, but I did them? Well, let's rewind it back. Did you mindfully go about those things? Did you give yourself time to meditate and decide what's important, what do you care about, and how can you line it up with your purpose in life so that you can be the master of your mind and what it is you're creating called your life?
Yeah. If I can say something in this, I think not, I said food just kind of haphazardly, but then I think about shopping and what is, we got a lot of Amazon orders now and coming in, and what is that, what is that saying? What's the deeper connection there? When Amazon is at your house more than you are, they're always coming and knocking. I don't know if that makes sense, but the point is that you're constantly getting deliveries, and which take up your space and take up time, and it does. So it's making me think, where are we?
Food, whether it's shopping, whether it's investing, and I know this one doesn't always seem so bad, but people that spend a lot of time giving their time and money away to other folks, you would think, oh, well, that should be admirable and that would be great. There's nothing wrong with it if it makes sense for the person. But when you find that person is not in a good space, how do you then still support that's actually working for them? What's their level of mastery on their mind that they're willing to give everything away, but not have enough for themselves in the meantime? So they don't have time for themselves. They don't have money to take care of themselves. But like you said, they may have ordered the food. They may have ordered the Amazon packages. There's something that's not connecting. There's a disconnect.
Definitely.
There's a need that's being filled. But if you don't give yourself permission to take a moment and just take a few breaths and really think about what's going on, you can't do something different to make the changes that are really going to allow you to feel like you're in control of yourself.
And making the decisions that stick.
Yes. Because you can look and say, oh my gosh, I spent all this money here. I'm going to stop that today. Okay. So tomorrow when you wake up and forget about the conversation from yesterday, you will be like, I don't know how I did this. Well, the same way you did it the day before and the day before that and the day before that, when you weren't willing to give yourself permission to sit in meditation or prayer, and then take what you gather from that and mindfully start making choices about your life one at a time so you are not overwhelmed, and working through what that looks like and starting to feel that confidence. And okay, so I can be mindful about my life. I can have a better relationship with money. I can actually master my mind to create and manifest whatever I want. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time.
Yeah. So what just sounds like you're asking us is to look at the whys behind the actions, and that connects it. Okay. All right.
Start looking at those whys and look at where they came from. I don't know if it's a bear of bad news or not, but the choices that people make when they go to election polls are based on things that people have grown up with. It's based on their socialization, what they believe they care about, and then what information they have access to. That other component is feed yourself information that's going to be supportive, because you're getting info anyways.
Mm.
It may not always be useful or helpful, but in the midst of that, taking time to meditate and being mindful, make sure you're educating yourself on things that you care about and you'd like to know more about, so you can make really
Mm-hmm.
important, informed decisions about it. Like,
Yeah.
do I buy 10 pairs of shoes today, or do I maybe buy some toiletries to stack up for just in case I can't go outside?
Mm. Yeah, I can just wear my shoes around the house. I don't need toilet paper.
Right. Like, being able
No,
to
but
look at those kinds of things.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
Great. What else? What else is there with this mindset? Greater mind. I love it.
I think one of the things that I know really, really strong, especially strong women that are like, I got this, I'm handling the world. It also requires you to be okay with the fact that every decision you make in that moment may have been right for that moment. And it's okay that it changed and it's
Mm.
not right still today.
Mm-hmm. I like
And
that.
being able to accept yourself. Like, you know what? That's the choice I made after 24 hours of online shopping and caffeine, and that was the best that I could do in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've rested, now that I've taken a moment, I can make a different choice, and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay for making the better choice for me, not maybe everyone else that's expecting me to keep showing up like Superwoman all the time, no matter what.
Mm. Yes. And I that rings a bell because I know there's many times that I've mentioned the unspoken contracts that we've made with ourselves. And,
Mm-hmm.
it's okay to break those when they're like you're saying, it's no longer serving you. It's okay to go and revisit. It's okay. And sometimes we need to use the word permission earlier. We need to give ourselves permission to change when it's no longer working. And
Absolutely.
being strong and all that we've committed to be for whatever reason, sometimes we have to go back in and readjust and really refilter. So yeah, I love this. Okay. My little comment there. I was like, yeah, because it's so true. We forget that. We forget we have the power to change our minds.
I don't even think we forget. No one's ever said it was okay. So this is
Ooh.
like the permit, like this is the public service announcement. It is okay to change your mind. It is okay to not do what no longer serves you.
Yes.
At 15, 20, maybe even 30, if you could party hard and still wake up and go to work and be great and look fabulous, great. I'm just going to say for most folks, probably 40, 50, 60, it's not going to, it's okay to stop. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay to believe that you might want to get some rest. It's okay to decide to spend money investing on appliances in your home. It's okay to want a home, to
Mm-hmm.
want a nice car, to want a partner, to want relationships, and the things that you used to do that you've decided this is who I am. It's okay to be different from that now.
Yeah.
And the folks that are ready for it, they're going to be there. And the ones that aren't, part of mastering your mind is being able to see the difference where this relationship still serves me and I'm willing to maintain it, but this one might not be. And that's okay. You don't have to like run people over, but you can totally just acknowledge we've definitely given to each other what we had to give, and I'm moving in a different direction,
Mm-hmm.
and it's okay.
I love it. I love it. We can even do that in dating, given
Oh,
the
absolutely.
permission to do that. It amazes me that male and female of the time we spend with something, and I'm not talking marriage. I'm talking, well, that's a whole nother story, but I'm talking
Right.
dating. I'm talking dating where, you're not even really in a committed relationship, but yet, it's just like, well, maybe things will change, or maybe he is the one, even though it doesn't fit or doesn't feel right. But yet,
Right.
it's okay to not, it's okay to say, to move away from that. And many don't.
Yep. It was okay when it was okay.
Yeah.
But just because you invested 30 minutes, 10 years, 20 years, it doesn't mean you still have to keep saying yes to the same thing every morning unless it serves you. And if it does, allow it to serve you and not keep wanting it to be different. Like that's
Wow,
the other
that's
component.
yeah.
And mastering your mind, like, okay, this works because it allows me to maintain this story about myself. And
Mm,
I like that story enough to keep it.
mm.
This doesn't work, and I would no longer like that to be a story that's a part of my life. So I'm going to let it
Yes.
go.
Yes. Yes. Powerful. Yes.
And then coming back and looking at, okay, again, going back to that space of meditation and being mindful and mastering your mind and your relationship with your money, does that choice line up with what you say is important to you? And whom and how you'd like to show up in the world? And if so, then you start, crafting the way that you'd like to structure your life to do that, to support that decision that will work for those different aspects of your life.
I love it. It's like a blueprint. Once you get this down, you have the blueprint of how you want you want your life to be lived.
Absolutely.
What I'm hearing. Okay.
It's almost like recreating your dream board or manifestation boards or affirmation boards, like doing those on a regular basis and then getting to the point where you can rapid cycle through that in your mind. You can visually see everything you need to see because you're putting in the work for yourself. So giving yourself, like I said, permission to be quiet, to listen, to hear, giving yourself permission to then mindfully construct how you like to do it different, and then lining it up with your money and what that looks like so that you feel good physically, mentally, and emotionally about what it is you're doing.
Yeah. Awesome.
Those are just some tips,
I like it. No, that's great. So so with those components, it's just important that as much as we want to know, get better quick. Because
Right.
they used to say get rich quick, get better quick. We forget of the diligence that it requires to be that in a state of mind that really serves us. And we're not taught it in school growing up. We're not even taught about money growing up in
Right.
school. So let alone mindfulness or being aware of who you are. Because I truly believe if you know yourself, then you can achieve so many great things and make so many great impacts on the world. So with a greater mind, just imagine how great your world is. So you're going to say something because I have a question for you.
I
You
was just
sound
going
like
to
you were going to
say,
say. Go ahead.
I'm definitely going to say something, and then maybe your question might even roll into it. But
Okay.
when you're looking at how you're creating this greater mind and giving yourself permission to do so, there's this other component where you start to recognize I can be super great by myself, but wouldn't it be pretty awesome to be around some other like-minded greater minds that are also interested in how to do and create a better version of their life too?
Yeah, I agree. So surrounding yourself with people who are going where you're going and doing what you're doing and becoming what you want to become. Maybe not the same thing, but you guys are both becoming together. So
Absolutely.
so tell me what sparked this greater mind concept for you? Is it something like happen? Is something? I mean, where did this come from?
Well, I would say it starts from initially creating the business name of Greater Self, like
Okay.
probably around 2014, 2015, somewhere around there. Initially, when I did it, and they always say breakups are the best way to get your body in shape because you just go to the gym and go all in. But
Mm-hmm.
at the time, I was like, what do I want my business to be named? I don't want it to necessarily be my name. I want it to be bigger and
Yeah.
greater than me. That when I die, the legacy of that business can continue on. And I was
Yes.
like, well, Greater Self makes sense. And I was like, okay, now what? And I came up with the phrase mind, body, self reclamation. Like I went through a bunch of other things and I can't recall them now, But
Mm-hmm.
every time I come back to the name of the company and that tagline, it it just further reiterates how when those things are in alignment, you can always reclaim who it is you want to be. When your mind is right, your body will follow to support it, and then you just treat yourself and give yourself what you need for your soul so that you can keep that cycle going, that you're continuously saying yes to you and reclaiming who it is you want to be. Because I feel like when we were younger, there was a version and an image that we all probably saw that most of us have absolutely lost sight of, just the way life is set up.
Mm-hmm.
And the the more you keep digging into who you are, the easier it starts to be to see who that person is and how you can morph into different versions of that your greater self. So when it came to the greater mind, I really believe that when you can get your mind in alignment with what you want, your mind will literally make everything else fall into place, and it will let you know what it needs and what it's craving so that you can reach out for those things. If
Mm.
your body needs to sleep more, you need to exercise more, your mind will let you know that.
Mm.
Now if you choose not to listen, that's on you. But your
Yeah.
greater mind really came from a space of when you're and people have said it, when your mind is right, everything else is right.
Yeah.
I believe that.
I do too. And I wanted, you said something and it sparked something in me about listening to your mind or listening to a need or hearing a need and feeling it. Like if you're tired, get some sleep. But most of us say, if we're tired, I just need some coffee. If we're
Right.
tired, I need a rock star. If we're tired,
Right.
instead of really sleeping.
Yeah.
And which is, we do substitutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds like what you're saying is moving away from the substitutes, because I think about the examples you gave with money. It's moving away. A greater self and a greater mind is moving away from the things that we now use as substitutes for the substantial stuff that really needs to be acquired.
Yeah,
That's,
I
yeah.
would definitely say so.
Yeah, but it's easier, we're
Oh,
programmed. I'm sorry. I was going to say we're programmed by TV and advertisement, and I'm using that loosely, about when we're tired, what we do: go grab something, go eat something,
right.
go here. So, what were you going to
Even with
say?
therapy, people are like, "Oh,
Mm,
you're not okay. Go get a therapist."
yeah.
And maybe that's really where it all sparked from, because I think I've always known that I was going to help people, and it was just a matter of, am I going to be a special ed teacher or a therapist? Spent about a year or two in a regular classroom helping special ed. I was like, I will be a therapist. My attention span requires that I limit the amount of time that I have to be engaged
Yes.
fully. And from that space, looking at, okay, if everybody believes that therapy works, then that means if your mind is good, again, everything else will fall into place.
Mm-hmm.
All these other trainings since then have told me everything absolutely works together.
Yes.
It
I
all
so
works
believe it.
together. you,
I
you,
so
you
believe
think
it.
about
I so believe it. I mean, that I call it harmony. To have your life
it.
in harmony is the key. I mean, other than knowing yourself, is to also knowing yourself helps you get your life in harmony. And you and I, as we work with clients, that is it. I know is my goal, is to, I can tell why you're out of alignment in your business or career or in your whatever, your relationship or whatever is happening. It usually stems back from life decisions, and not just decisions like I did this and did that. I'm just saying, over the time, childhood trauma, we can go there
Yes.
as that, but we think, if you look at really, and not even maybe things we see as traumatic, it could be the conversation in the home. It could be the money situation in the home. And it doesn't have to be trauma, but it could just be things like, I know when I, particular client, they would serve their client, was remind all their clients, she worked with them as she would her mother.
Okay.
So she was always looking for the underdog, right? But when you, and in that situation, she wanted to scale. Well, we have to move her out of going after the clients that remind her of her mother, because those are
Right.
not where you're going to see your increase the way you want to see it.
Right.
And, and not like you cannot help the client that reminds you of your mother, but it's expanding outside of that. So even with that, there's that harmony of understanding your life then and life now, and how a lot of the stuff that we hold on in our minds can limit us from the greater life and the greater self that you're talking about.
Absolutely. And when you said trauma, it may not seem traumatic to one person because it's regular, but it doesn't take away that it wasn't traumatic.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
yeah.
like, oh, well, everybody got beat with extension cords, right?
At least in the Black community.
Like you don't get hit with the extension cord? Like,
no one threw a shoe at you?
Okay, wow, maybe I should evaluate.
Well, and then that's where you have some clients in the Black community and not having a Black therapist or a Black coach to work with, because there is that missing understanding of cultural differences in how children are raised. Like calling child protective services for a Black family is different, because like the extension cord is normal. It's like, no, you don't call that's like normal stuff. It's wrong. I mean, it's not right. I'm not saying it's right, in that sense, but a Black therapist is going to understand, like, okay, I get what you're doing, but you can't do that, but I understand,
Right.
So
even if you take that back, those things that happen, if you go deeper, and maybe this isn't a popular thing to say, but
I know what you're about to say. Go ahead.
If you look at what it was like for folks to be slaves, they are still their generational trauma, period.
Exactly.
And people are going to keep their children safe. So in that situation specifically, whatever they think is going to make that happen is what they're going to do, until they're able to hear a different way to try it, to give it an opportunity. But without that additional education that could come from parenting classes, therapy sessions, whole life coaching program, like without those things there, people are going to duplicate what they knew allowed them to be safe, because they're still here, they're still standing, and it wasn't traumatic for them. It's more traumatic to not have, their child or loved ones be there because they didn't say the things that they had said to them that allowed them to be safe.
Exactly. It's all of our filters. I love it. So tell me, do you have any, you mentioned something free is going on now, and how can we reach you? How can they reach out to you? What's going on? What's happening?
Well, I'm definitely launching another group for my group whole life coaching program. It's only a limited amount of folks that can be in each group. I also offer, of course, like individual sessions, as well as I've created a whole manual and protocol that if someone's like, I got this, I can do it myself, you can totally get the manual and the workbook and do it all on your own. And I will easily guide you with an opportunity to help structure it to make it make sense for you. But I offer in my Facebook group a Greater Mind Challenge at least once a month. I like to go through and just refresh on those different concepts and share those tips with folks. What is the name of that group? I believe the group is called the Greater Mind Challenge, and you can see Greater Self on that particular group. I am definitely on Instagram as Greater Self _Dr.Z. And then on Facebook, I believe it's greaterself.org. And of course, my website is www.greaterself.org. And I'm sure I'm on LinkedIn and some other places.
We'll make sure
Google
you can Google it.
Dr. Zerri Gross. It will be me. It will definitely not be anybody else.
And it's Zerri, so people want to know the spelling. Yes, so great. So everyone listening, reach out to Dr. Zerri. She has questions. She's full of knowledge and wisdom and insight. And join her on Facebook in one of her groups. Get involved in what she's doing. Ladies, if you're planning something virtually and you want someone to come in, and as you said, it could be great to have her as a speaker as well as leading your group in some type of yoga activity. Or, I'm just selling her here. I don't even know if she's saying yes to that, but I know
I'm
she's
saying
capable.
yes.
But there's so
Absolutely.
many avenues, as we are, right now still in a state where we're doing things virtually. We it's time for us to just embrace it and do what we need to do, and still
Absolutely.
have that conference online, and have all the aspects that we can involved, and just make it just a great adventure. And I think I'm talking to myself, but
I'm like,
it's
yes,
definitely
I'll just put that out there. That goes to you too, Miss Carla. Like,
it does, because we can't, we're holding time, we're holding our, we're marking
mhm.
time, and it's like wise. So there's so many people hurting and in need and wanting to have a greater mindset, and to understand more about themselves at a greater level. So thank you, Dr. Z, for all you do.
Thank you.
Yes,
Say also, I forgot to add this little quick snippet in there,
please.
but
Oh yeah, yes.
in the event that there are people that are ready and willing, I am definitely going to be restarting, probably in the spring, my Greater Goddess Vibes workshop again. Um, and depending on where we're at in the world, will determine if I'm willing to host anything on racism specifically. But the Greater
Okay.
Goddess Vibes will definitely be happening. A Dreams to Reality workshop, which is just helping you harness in on that greater mind and laws of attraction, will be happening coming the spring. So if you just want to expand on any of those components and explore through Greater Goddess Vibes how to clear out your chakras, the 7 chakras, and really embody and embrace that inner goddess strength, empowered to being a strong woman, as Ms. Carla is sharing with us, it will be
Yes.
happening. Please.
All right. So before you go,
Mhm.
just give us some words of wisdom.
Okay. I would, the best one that I can ever say is, if you feel it in your gut and it feels right, you're right. If you feel
Mm.
a feeling anyways, it's your feeling and your feelings will never be wrong. You do want to check in with those feelings and see, like, what were the thoughts that helped create it. And if they're still serving you, keep them. And if they're not, let them go. It's your choice and your life, and you totally have the opportunity to live whatever life you want on your terms.
I like. All right, Dr. Z, thank you so much. Thank you for dropping those nuggets. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. And we're signing off now. Until next time, stay strong. This is Carla Michelle. Don't forget, I love you. All right, talk to you soon. Bye bye. Hey, this is Carla Michelle. I'm so glad that you pushed play. I'm glad to have another time with you, another conversation on another topic, whether it's with me or another guest. It's a great time here at the Strong Woman's Network podcast. But before we move on, I want to introduce my book to you. If you haven't heard, The Strong Woman's Playbook, Becoming Your Greatness. It's on Amazon. Visit drcarlainc.com and you can find the link there. I hope you enjoy this episode. Push, subscribe, and share with a friend. I'll talk to you soon.